Hey guys, Cody here. So we're back here at this Glendale job. It's a larger backyard job. You'll notice in maybe multiple of our other videos actually, that there's a lot of grading and other stuff going on. We've taken a couple other videos at this project. So we're just about done. I just had some free time to come through and take our finalized video. Just a couple of minor things that we got to finish up, but we're pretty much done, especially with all the hardscape and stuff. So I wanted to show you around and how it turned out. So let's look at it. So this whole platform here before ended about here, and it was just a big concrete platform, kind of similar to how it is now. The wall actually just extended way up here before. It was really a more classic blocky style that wasn't really appealing or open. So we just brought the wall down to here, which is kind of the same level as the doors, and extended the patio out. The entire wall and concrete pad were taken out before. So, we wanted to come out to the edge of the house now with the patio, give them a lot, and even just that extra 4 or 5 feet here provides a lot more space in here. They're going to get a table and stuff in here. They're not fully set up yet, as you can see. And then they just had a sub company come out and do the railing. They wanted something a little bit more custom. So they did that, and we prepped the inside of this for them to be able to put the post down and all that kind of stuff. So if there's any other companies you want to bring in to one of our projects, we can actually coordinate with them and have them install when they need to and all that. And so the only piece of concrete in this whole area that was actually here before was this one. So we actually left it intact because it was actually a rather new piece of concrete. This is a really old house, 1920s or something. But this was a newer piece of concrete. I'm like, we don't need to really disturb that. But this whole system here we set up with these steps, a couple last minute changes on the layout and spacing and stuff, and I think it turned out really nice, really open, especially when you're up there looking this way at the yard. It's really nice. So that'll be kind of their patio. It's just a little transition step from here to here, and then a little step down at the bottom. This is not the complete finished product. They are going to be tiling this. There's just a big hold on tile and stuff like that right now, especially for the ones they want, so they're going to be installing that later, or they'll have us come out and install it, get the materials. They have a bunch of samples here already. So this whole thing will be covered with tile, and then the sides of the blocks are going to be stuccoed, and they're also going to be stuccoing behind you their garage. They've done a whole bunch of work on. Been a bunch of water damage. We'll go into the garage in a second. I'm going to show you over here first. We did this little natural slate walkway here with these flagstones. Over here we have we just have poured concrete. This was just like some rocks and dirt before, so water was just sitting here all the time on the foundation. And they were already having foundation issues with the garage and all over the place, so we wanted to protect that as much as we could. So we brought through a concrete pad all the way through. You want to make sure with your standard concrete that you do a joint line every once in a while at least. This is actually for flexibility purposes, and also, with earthquakes and stuff, with the cracks you get. Of course, we can still get some airline cracks. It's Los Angeles, we get an earthquake every 3 minutes. But sometimes if you put the joint lines in like this, it'll actually crack within the line. If there's so it kind of gives it that leeway to crack through here and through there instead of right down the middle, right? So you can still get some hairline cracks here and there, but a lot of the cracking will just, if it would crack or if it would shift, would just crack in the line, supposedly, right? So that goes all the way down, and we make sure that we do a little 2% grade away from the house so that water will just go off in directions that aren't sitting directly at the base of that. This is kind of just a little negative space area. We just threw down some flagstone and some rocks there. We're going to clean that up a little bit, actually, today, I think. And we're running along the entire perimeter. So this property, if you stand right about there, this property was on a pretty big angle like this before. So this was actually the level that it was at before, way up here, and it sloped down toward the garage, of course affecting the garage adversely, and they had a bunch of water damage and all that stuff. They've already handled all that. So the whole yard was sloped like that before, and they wanted a yard, and they might do a pool eventually. So we wanted to get it down to a pretty graded level, and I mean, it's basically level and flat now. Very minor grade going back that way. Very minor. You always want to go in some direction. because flat doesn't exist, right? Flat will either pool or it'll just go in the directions you don't want it to go. So you want to at least make it go in the direction you want it to go, even if it's on a minor slope, right? But the slope before was horrible, like having kids running around or dogs running around or anything was not a pleasant experience. So we handled all that. We basically just brought the level like that. And what we did in here, we actually have a French drainage system running through here. You can look up what that is. It's basically just a perforated pipe. You know, it's a pipe with little holes in the top of it, wrapped in fabric and surrounded by gravel, so that if water collects in it, the pipe is run all the way through the base. If water collects in here, as you can see, it'll probably come off the roof into there. We have the piping running here, and then we have a little strip drain here that's also actually connected to the same piping underground. And all the water that collects in here will actually lead back to the back, where we have a little gravel pit down beneath actually all the gravel back there. So there's a gravel pit, a nice big gravel pit over there, just to help with getting rid of some of the water, right? And the reason we had to do all this is because the garage is actually at a lower level than the rest of the yard, right? So before, all the water was just going directly toward the garage and just seeping into the garage, which is obviously a problem. But there are so many different ways to do this. I had to work out every single scenario to handle this problem with the client, because there's so many ways you can do it. Because I could actually, technically, I could bring the wall over here, and you actually have now you have a low pathway, and you could add some drainage in the pathway and go over there. Or I could get all the soil out of the yard. I can bring the wall all the way over there and have a big tall wall that might end up being, you know, potentially a permanent wall, but now we're taking out a ridiculous amount of soil. So how do you save on costs, also make it aesthetic, and also handle the drainage properly? We just decided this is like a nice little planter and some drainage added in there. And now the rest of the yard is all on one level, and now you can kind of run from here over to here to the patio over here and all that kind of stuff. So that ended up being kind of just the best scenario that we could come up with as far as the different levels, because the garage is lower, right? If the garage was raised up, it does make our lives a little bit easier, but that's just not how it is. So that's what we ended up doing. Here we have a paver. This is an Angelus cobble style paver. It's got, you know, a mix of charcoal gray, light gray, and standard gray, and also some coppery feel to it, which is pretty nice. And then we have this little landing down here. And, you know, down beneath all the pavers that we install, you want to put in a road base and a sand base, just to make sure there's drainage, and that's just how you install pavers properly, so they can set. You know, pavers as opposed to bricks, I will recommend pavers 9 times out of 10, because it's just, you have no issues with install and mess, and it just costs a lot more to install brick, because it just has, you got to install it with mortar. If you installed brick like pavers, they would kind of shift all over the place if you just had the sand base down beneath. So with bricks, you actually want to put mortar base and mortar between. Really messy, expensive, time consuming, and honestly a little bit outdated. You know, this is a 1920s house, and I said, we're not doing bricks, you know. Let's do some nice cobble style pavers, some classic style pavers. And you know, it definitely just ended up being the direction to go. We got this nice huge patio. You're gonna have like no maintenance on it. Pavers are just the way to go. Interlocking pavers. And so we have this is an RTF sod like we usually do. Great for any lawn. It patches itself. It's a fescue, so it's a year-round green grass. It doesn't go dormant in the winter. And we put in some fresh topsoil beneath and did the irrigation, everything. And it's good for dogs and kids to run around on and stuff. With pretty much all sods, you do want to wait a little bit to start walking on it very regularly. If you could somehow miraculously stay off it for even 3 months, I mean, that would be ideal. I know that's kind of ridiculous to ask. But even if it's about a month or so, that'd be pretty good. After a couple of weeks, you could do some light foot traffic, but you really don't want to be on it too often. You especially don't want animals on it, or especially dogs peeing on it very often within the first month or two even. So if you can avoid all that, that'd be good. Some guys will say, yeah, just wait a week, it'll be fine. That's just not how it is. You'll damage it and then you'll have to patch it. You got to call us out. We do warranty everything, so that's fine. But just try and keep them off if you can. And then moving on through here, they actually had this existing planter box here, which we moved around with the Bobcat when we were in here, and they're going to build another one in here. So this will just be a nice little natural bark. This is a large bark. That's just what it's called. It's a large bark, so it's on the outside of the tree as opposed to a wood chip, which would be the inside of a tree, right? So it's a nice natural large bark through here, and we're going to add another planter box, so we'll have plenty of veggies and stuff like that. A whole bunch of potted plants going on. She's potting more. She's gonna have all these beautiful plants, you know, around the paver patio, and all that kind of stuff. Liven it up a little bit. They're probably gonna even do a little pergola type thing over here with these vines. You know, I don't really know the whole situation with that, but you know, they have these vines here, and might just go over the top like that. Something really nice like that. And then down here, one of the most important areas actually. The gravel area. So this is actually a step down. We did a wall here out of the same flagstone as that patio or as that pathway over there. Nice thick little step down, natural looking, and it blends nicely with the pavers, so it's a good choice there. But this area, this is just gravel all the way through with weed fabric down beneath it. So we always want to put the weed fabric down beneath gravels, mulches, and stuff, just so you don't get the weeds growing up everywhere, and then especially between gravel, it's just really a hassle to get in there and take all the weeds out. But this is great for drainage. You know, a majority of the yard is leading down into this area, so with really heavy rains, all the water is actually going to end up in this area, down in the gravel pit back there. You know, with heavy flooding rains on a property where it was very difficult to, like, it would have been, you know, a hassle to install a pump and a catch basin and get rid of the water. Heavy rains, you could of course still get water collecting here and there, but we did our best, you know, with the grass and the wood chips and the bark and the gravel to just disperse the water so it can seep into the ground and kind of spread itself out, as opposed to just puddling and pooling in all these different areas. The sand base beneath the pavers, water actually can get in between the pavers and beneath it into the sand and also spread out. So a mixture of all these things and the gravel pit back there, you know, are going to handle a vast majority of the water. The gravel pit's just probably about right underneath their little table there. Customer got all the chairs and all that stuff. You can see the wall running all the way through on the side. That's pressure treated wood wall. Those are, I believe, those might be 8x8s. Oh, those are 6x6s. So that's your standard size. Pressure treated wood wall, very long lasting wall. They can last 50, 100 years all day. They're chemically treated, but that runs all the way through, all the way along the side. And the reason we need to do that, first of all, it looks pretty nice, but second of all, you know, when we brought that level back to this and moved soil this way, you know, you have to hold up the yard on this side now that this level has gone up. And the side that went down, you have to hold up the neighbor's property, right? And kind of that same situation going along the back side here, where you got to hold up the neighbor's property there. Then over here, you got to kind of hold up this property. You can see a lot of it's sticking out, especially down here, because we have the step up of the pavers right there, right? So, but we wanted to bring the look all the way through this bottom area too, you know. And that's pretty much it for this project. A lot of fun.